My male 24, wife 25 of 5 years has a sister 20. She's somewhat disabled, and while this may sound contradictory, she has a condition that makes working difficult but not entirely impossible unless she's under stress. Neurological condition, loses muscle control, makes her hit, throw stuff, fall over. I have no problem with her sister. She's sweet and nice to have around. My wife loves her more than anything. She basically raised her and stepped in when her parents wouldn't or couldn't. This has led to a relationship closer to mother and daughter. My wife would constantly be paying for stuff for her sister, and this made sense to me when she was a minor and was doing much worse health-wise. Recently, though, this has increasingly been getting under my skin. I'm the sole provider for my household right now since my wife was pregnant and only gave birth recently. We'd spend a lot to buy her sister holiday gifts, which she would never return the favour, even with something cheap with thought, or no thought, put into them. We'd always take her out to events or dinners and pay for her every time. She would never even pick up the bill for herself. Again, it wasn't entirely an issue until she became an adult, and now I'm fed up with it. She expects me to pay for her sister to go to the doctor, or her sister invites us out to lunch and then expects us to pay. Sister doesn't even schedule her own appointments. My wife takes her wherever she asks, even if she has the ability to do it herself, and we live 45 minutes away. She always talks about how she's freelancing and is making money. Still, she has no money whenever she needs or wants anything. I didn't have an issue with this either, really. I thought my wife was being a pushover, but it's ultimately her money until recently. Now she's spending my money on her, and it's really getting me angry. I want to spend my money on my daughter, but we're spending money on this financially irresponsible leech. I explained this to my wife in a much nicer way, but we ended up in a fight where I called her sister some pretty messed up things. I ended the conversation by telling her I would take away her access to our joint bank account until she contributes again if she doesn't tell her sister to grow up, and that she's not her mother and she's no longer a child. She cannot be dependent on people forever. I think it's an important lesson for her to learn. If she doesn't learn it, she can get back to work and continue supporting her until she's 40 with her own money, not mine. She honestly thinks this is an end-of-the-world situation. I think it's quite clear this is for the better. I think she's scared of hurting her sister, but at this point, she's crippling her by allowing her to do nothing. Edit, I also understand my wife being a homemaker means she's putting in equal work, so my money is her money, but we're on a single income, and we can barely afford our family's needs. I can't give her half my salary so she can spend half of that on her sister. A majority of it goes to keeping us paycheck to paycheck right now. I guess looking after their newborn baby or healing from giving birth to that baby is not considered contributing in your eyes. Oh dear, her spending privileges? You are the idiot. Check yourself, OP. Also, this sister that is somewhat disabled but not entirely impossible to work, as long as she isn't under stress when she literally loses physical control and can hurt herself, is someone you have no problem with and find nice and sweet. Yet few paragraphs later is suddenly a financially irresponsible leech. Did anyone else get a whiplash from this change in tone? Honestly, forget about the disabled sister who your wife has as a dependent since before you were married. You had an argument with your wife who recently gave birth. You threatened to cut her off your joint finances if she didn't do what you wanted or she starts contributing again. She isn't contributing because she was pregnant with your child and is now post-labor caring for it. Please calculate how much this childcare would cost 24/7 for the period since your child was born until the child was, let's say, 2. Can you afford to pay this out of pocket? Because this is what your wife is contributing right now to your household. If the wife was gambling the money, would restricting it be financial abuse, or if she was a shopaholic? She's putting the family at risk with her spending habits, and she, her husband, and her child are suffering. Who's the one guilty of financial abuse? Not the husband. Not the idiot. Your wife's sister is abusing her disability, and I hate when people play the sick card and don't take responsibility for their life. Your wife needs to understand that she can guide her sister, but not be a mother because it won't help anyone. Your wife needs to grow a backbone. My wife and I just brought home our beautiful baby. When we got home, I wanted my oldest son to hold the baby. He's a teen, but my wife said no. She said she wasn't comfortable with anyone but us holding the baby yet. I wasn't happy about this, but I respect that as a mom, she's anxious about how vulnerable our baby is, so I let it go. Yesterday, her sister, 32, came over and wanted to hold the baby. I said no, that my wife and I aren't comfortable with anyone but us holding him yet. My wife then said it was fine, that her sister was a special case. I said no, that I wasn't comfortable with it. Her sister was offended and left. My wife is angry with me and says I was an idiot to her sister. I think I'm just being consistent. Was I an idiot to my sister-in-law? Edit, I think she's a good stepmom. She gives my son his space. We're all a little socially awkward in this family, truthfully. She says she doesn't know how to talk to teenagers. Not the idiot. Thank you for standing up for your son. He's a teen, not a toddler. She was uncomfortable the day before, but it's fine for her sister. Your wife is a massive idiot. Don't let her start a rift between siblings this early. Half siblings can love each other just as much as full siblings, but not if mom constantly pushes one away. Don't let her do this to your son. Sounds like your wife resents your son to some degree. It's not that people can't hold your baby, your son can't. It's because he's not her kid. Dude, you really need to pay attention to what's going on between your wife and your son. This looks like a big red flag to me. You have a lengthy and unpleasant discussion coming up with your wife, so good luck with that. You aren't being consistent, you're being an idiot. It was pure revenge on your part, and please don't weaponize your child this early in their life. It sets a horrible precedent. Please do what is best for the child and not your own ego. Your wife clearly isn't as comfortable with a teen holding your baby as she is with her 32-year-old sister. There's a huge difference between a teenager holding a newborn and an adult holding a newborn. Over the past few weeks, I've been quite sick. Yesterday morning, I woke both my boyfriend, Jake, and myself up with a coughing fit, so I decided to go to the doctor that morning. The doctor said that there was some inflammation in my throat, so he prescribed me penicillin over the next few days. I had no problem with taking this, but I did know that Jake is allergic to penicillin. Once I got my meds, I called him to tell him where I would keep it so that he could stay away from it. He told me that it couldn't be in the apartment, and I couldn't take it around him because he was deathly allergic to it. He said I should get rid of it and take pain meds to get better on my own instead. I suggested that I stay at my parents' house for the next few days while I'm taking my meds. He said that we'd talk about it when he got home, but until then, I either needed to get rid of them or leave them in my car without taking them. But I wanted to take them before 7 hours for him to come home. I decided to just go to my parents' house because I wanted to take them and I'd probably go there later after we talked. When I got to my parents', I stayed in bed for the rest of the day and fell asleep at some point. I woke up around 5 a.m. to numerous calls and texts from Jake and some mutual friends asking where I was. I waited a while before calling Jake back. He asked where I was, and when I answered, he angrily told me that it was disrespectful of me to leave without waiting for him to discuss this and that I was making a big situation by ignoring his calls last night. I tried to explain to him that I wasn't ignoring him, that I was sick, that I'd fallen asleep at my parents and that I didn't think it would be a big deal because I'd already suggested it to him yesterday. He said that he didn't remember me telling him this and that he was calling his friends all last night asking if they knew where I was and that it was suspicious that I'd been distant with him for the past few weeks just to disappear last night. I may be the idiot for this part, but I told him that it's not my fault that he didn't remember me telling him this and that he knew I'd been feeling unwell over the past few weeks, which explains why I was distant. I then said that he was ridiculous as there was no way having penicillin in the same apartment as him would even cause any problems if he stayed away from it. After this, he said that I was being the idiot for belittling him and not taking his allergies seriously. He then told me to just stay with my parents for the next while until he was ready to talk again before hanging up, and he's not answered any of my calls since. As I've been stuck in bed thinking about it, part of me just feels like I might have been too stubborn, and I could have avoided all of this by waiting a couple of hours or trying to get better without the antibiotics. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, your boyfriend is controlling as heck. I've never heard of a penicillin allergy so severe that being around someone else on the meds would affect them. If that were the case, he should have been fine with you staying with your parents. It's not his place to tell you should go without, so there was nothing to discuss. It also sounds like he made a big deal of you going to your parents by calling all your friends. I'm not really buying that he didn't hear you. Then he tried to blame you for the big deal he created. Yeah, and also, why didn't he ring her parents while he was doing the phone around? Because he knew that's where she was, and he couldn't create a ton of drama if he found her immediately. She needs to find a better partner. It seems all he wanted to do was fight with her. I think he's a drama king. Also, he won't break up with her because he's too much of a coward, so he's creating fights and making his friends think that she's off somewhere and up to unreasonable shenanigans. Yeah, this dude is whack. OP, make sure you let your friends know what went on. Don't let them think you just have this tendency to disappear. And girl, leave this man. Sometimes you don't have a choice but to take antibiotics. He isn't a doctor and shouldn't be telling you to ignore medical help. Since I, female 24, was in my late teens, I was into hiking and prepping. I'm not crazy into it on a conspirational level, but I like to have some in my bag or backpack. A few useful things. I carry everywhere my EDC, Everyday Carry Set, which contains a first aid kit, food, protein bars, chocolate and dried meat, and water, a spare t-shirt and underwear, pepper spray is perfectly legal in my country, and a few other useful tools. It proved to be useful on many occasions, and I always make sure to resupply this set and have it around me. It's a habit now, and I feel really weird, almost naked without it. Recently, my family had a big gathering during a barbecue. It was the first gathering since I was a kid, so there were many family members I barely knew or didn't know at all. Obviously, I had my bag with me, and it happened to be useful as one of the kids burned themselves, and I had a hydrogel dressing on me. Anyway, one of my cousins asked if I had a spare pad. I said, of course, here's my bag, it should be in the middle pocket. Well, apparently she decided to rummage through my things instead of simply taking the pad. She saw my tools and freaked out. She basically started making a scene, accusing me that I probably wanted to attack someone or have other nefarious plans. It was enough for some older family members to be distraught. They sat a long way from us and understood only that someone was about to attack us, and chaos ensued. Eventually it got under control, but the atmosphere was ruined. My cousin and some family members say I'm an idiot for bringing dangerous tools to a family gathering. They mostly have problems with my pepper spray, but say that all in all my EDC is weird and freakish and I shouldn't feel endangered in my own family. I don't feel in danger, I just like being prepared. My parents, who obviously know about my habit, aren't mad but say that maybe I shouldn't carry my things among people as it may upset them or make them feel afraid. Don't know if it's important, but my bag wasn't military style, it was a normal woman's bag, one you can easily spot on the street. Am I the idiot? How dare your cousin dig through all of your things and then have the audacity to judge you for it? They aren't dangerous tools, they're simply items that you keep for emergencies, and you're wise to do so. I'm not prepped in any way, but I keep the same type of items in my truck at all times because I'm a woman who drives in a lot of rural areas. You never know what you'll need if you're injured, stranded, or attacked. You are not the idiot. What's the point of pepper spray if you can't carry it? You're supposed to always have it in case of an attack, which, as a woman, it's unfortunately necessary to be prepared for. I keep pepper spray on my keys, like so many other women. Being prepared is being responsible. I have to admit I chuckled a little when I read the contents of your bag because the term EDC here in the US almost exclusively refers to other stuff. LMAO. Imagine being offended by someone else's purse contents. Unreal. Your cousin was looking for a reason to be dramatic. Now that you know she does that BS for attention, stop giving her openings. She needs something from your bag, you get it for her, or say, sorry, that's not in my kit. You should set up a kit of your own that includes it. Don't ever let anyone rummage in your bag or purse. Just not smart. My sister Lily has a toddler son Thomas, yet acts as if she's still a teenager. Lily commonly says things like how she's young and her 20s are meant to be the best years of her life. Therefore, older adults are all meant to accommodate her lifestyle. Our parents have been raising Thomas more than Lily has, but after many warnings went ignored, they recently put their foot down with Lily. Our parents told Lily they were tired of her doing whatever she wanted, and it was time for her to grow up. They gave her several months to work out new housing and childcare arrangements. Time's almost up and Lily found a studio but has yet to get any childcare worked out. She was hoping that our parents would change their minds and is finally realizing that they're serious. Our paternal grandma can't help because she's disabled, and my maternal grandparents told Lily no, so she begged me to return to working from home so that I could provide childcare for Thomas. I told Lily no. Working from home isn't the paid vacation that she assumes it is. I already have a life and responsibilities, and I didn't sign up to be a parent. Lily gave me her usual arguments about her right to be a young person and enjoy her 20s. So I told her I also have that right. She waived hers by having a baby, and our parents are right that she needs to grow up. Lily is also turning her nose up at a job opportunity that offers on-site childcare to employees because it's in retail, and she says she's afraid of being recognised by her former classmates. I told Lily that I didn't care. She's 23, and most of her former classmates are also working embarrassing retail jobs anyway. Heck, if anything, her former classmates would probably be jealous of her for landing a job that provides on-site childcare. Lily told my paternal grandma, the one who's disabled and can't help, about what was going on. My paternal grandma called me a bad sister and aunt because big sisters are supposed to look after their little siblings, no matter how old they are. A few of my friends told me I should be more concerned about Thomas and how my refusal to help would impact him. They said I'm naive to think Lily will get her act together when I've seen how irresponsible and immature she is, and that when Lily inevitably decides to act irresponsibly, it's going to be my nephew who pays the price. My friends are reasonable in worrying about Thomas, but there's no chance Lily will ever learn if people keep enabling her. Am I the idiot for refusing to help? If everyone is so concerned about the child's well-being, why isn't CPS involved? Or if your friends are that concerned, why can't they help? Not the idiot, OP. You're right. Lily will never become responsible if people enable her to live a certain way. There is no solution for Lily except life. She thinks and believes she's owed something from the world. Only when she loses this as her religion can she learn to be responsible for herself and the child she brought into the world. Oh, by the way, where is Thomas's father and family? Lily has a history of bad choices, and Grandma just doesn't or can't see it, and if she could help, probably would have a different opinion. My sister knew 2 men who could have possibly been my nephew's father, but both men got tested and neither was the father. Based on the statements she would make while pregnant, it was apparent to me at least that my sister had no idea how much work a baby would actually be. She clearly didn't anticipate that my nephew wouldn't be a doll that she could just pass on to our parents whenever she wanted a break. She's worried about classmates seeing her work retail, and she doesn't know who the father of her child is. Wow. The continuing saga of Lily not making good choices, but doing whatever she wants and expecting everyone else to pick up the slack. Grandma is right about big sisters looking out for little sisters. Big sister wants little sister to get her act together, not go in a loop and end up irresponsible. The support group will not be there forever.